Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We're about to start our session on embracing the journey of justice through the names of Allah. I'm just going to wait for a few seconds for more viewers to join us, and then we'll kick the session starting, inshallah. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. I am very excited today that we're wrapping up our Being Me session and theme of the month of November, which was social justice. I hope you have enjoyed the previous sessions that we've had, and if you have not watched them yet, you can join our Facebook page and you can watch more of them. They were very rich, and most of them were calling for action. Tonight's session, which is the wrap up, the last, the best, but not the least, is the session with a very dear sister to my heart, and I'm going to try to stay within the subject, but I really want to learn more about the names of Allah and how can we use them and live the values of the names of Allah. But tonight we're going to focus on the names that Sister Yasmeen Yusuf has selected for us in relation to our theme, and we hope that she can join us more for another themes that we choose, because the names of Allah are, as we know, cover all the bases for our lives pretty much. So now, without further ado, I'm going to start with introducing our Quran reciter, which is Azlafa Adnan. Thank you so much, Azlafa, for joining us tonight. We're keeping you late, Eastern time, it's 9 p.m. So Azlafa has studied at the Calgary Islamic School. She loves to volunteer in her school and community. Alhamdulillah, she has memorized the Holy Quran, mashallah. So Azlafa, please go ahead and start.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الذين يتلون كتاب الله وأقاموا الصلاة وأنفقوا مما رزقناهم سرا وعلانية يرجون تجارة لن تبور ليوفيهم أجورهم ويزيدهم من فضله إنه غفور شكور. والذي أوحينا إليك من الكتاب هو الحق مصدقا لما بين يديه إن الله بعباده لخبير بصير. صدق الله العظيم. Indeed, those who recite the book of Allah and establish prayer and spend in His cause out of what we have provided them, secretly and publicly, that He may give them in full reward and increase for them of His rewards. Indeed, He is forgiving and appreciative. And that which we have revealed to you, O Muhammad, of the book is the truth, confirming what was before it. Indeed, Allah of His servants and aware and seeing. Jazakallah khairan.
MashaAllah, thank you so much, Azlafa. So now we're starting to go deeper with our session and start. I'm going to start with the introduction of the theme again and the title of the session momentarily. So the title of our session tonight is Embracing Justice Through the Names of Allah. And our guest speaker tonight is Sister Yasmeen Youssef. She's a published author, instructional designer, and trainer. She's also the founder and CEO of Salam, a well-being program based on belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, positive psychology, and emotional intelligence. She's a script writer and content developer. She has also been a guest speaker for many programs, for many shows and programs. She also did a script writing for a TV program that was run in Ramadan in 2017 that was hosted by Dr. Tariq Swaidan, which all of us know and really wish to learn from. So Sister Yasmeen is going to join us today and take us through the names of Allah that are related to justice, and specifically social justice. So I'd like to invite Sister Yasmeen. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear sister Shahinaz and the beautiful team from Being Me. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you for joining us. So I'm just going to step back, sit and learn, and you can go ahead.
Thank you. I'll just take a second here to share my presentation. So please let me know when you can see it on the screen. So just confirm for me that you can hear me and you can see the presentation.
Yes, we can.
Lovely. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. I am really excited to be with all of you today talking about such a beautiful topic that's very, very important. And I thank Being Me and the amazing team behind this initiative for choosing the topic of justice in general and social justice in particular. And today it's my honor and privilege to, every time I get to speak about Allah's names, I'm honored, I'm humbled, and I'm reminded that they are really the foundation for everything that can go right in the world. So today please allow me to take you on a journey with 6 of Allah's most beautiful names or attributes of perfection that can allow us to have a complete, accurate, and truthful justice system. So let's start. So you will notice that I will refer to a justice system, and the word system is emphasized through Allah's most beautiful names. And I picked today 6 names. I will put them first in front of you in Arabic for those of you who appreciate Arabic, and then I will show the translation. So we are embracing today 6 of Allah's names: Al-Haqq, Al-Adl, Al-Muqsit, Al-Hakam, Al-Hakim, Ar-Rashid. And if we want to translate them to really explain what they mean, we will have difficulty with some of the names. The name Al-Haqq, for example. Al-Haqq, I will say it's the truth for now, just for the sake of going through all the names to translate them first, or have or mention the translation for them. Al-Adl, equity. I know that you refer to that name with the translation, the utterly just, but I will explain why I put here equality. Al-Muqsit, the equitable. Al-Hakam, the judge. Al-Hakim, the wise. Al-Rashid, the guided, or the the one who's wise but with guidance and sound judgment. So Al-Haqq is a very interesting name, and it's the very first name I'd like to start with, because this system that I am proposing to you today has an order. It's not scrambled, or we cannot just replace one name in place of another. It goes in order. So the first name that we speak about today of Allah's names is Al-Haqq, that can be translated in 2 ways, because in Arabic it has more than one meaning. The first meaning is truth. When you say someone is saying the truth in Arabic, you say he says al-haq, nahu yaqul al-haq. So al-haq here means the truth, but there's also another meaning, which is right, the right. So from being right, saying the right thing, or the right means give someone their right. So haq fulan inna li badanika alayka haqq, so your body has a right upon you, and people around you, depending on the relationship with them, they have rights upon you. So the word haqq is really foundational in this justice system because it focuses on these two beautiful meanings that we will speak about today, which are truth, speak the truth, be guided by the truth, and rights, know your rights, know the rights of others. That's going to be the foundation for our justice system. So let's take each name in sequence. So al-haq, that's why we have to start in sequence. You cannot possibly perceive justice or equity or equality without knowing first what's true and what's not, and what's the right of every person. And the reason I talk about the truth or truth from but guided by Allah's name al-haq is that because there is a global trend that is trying to convince people that there is no right nor wrong, and there is no absolute truth. There are numbers of human development programs, writers, authors, influential figures who are talking about that there is no absolute truth, and everything is subjective to your own opinion, your own input. So you cannot say something is right and something is wrong. And I'm not sure why they're doing this. They could be like, my best guess, if I wanna think their intentions are good, would be to minimize conflict, right? So the easiest way out of any conflict is that, you know, you're right and I am right, because that's your perspective and that's my perspective, right? So that's the easiest way to get out of a conflict. However, and that has to be built on the premise that there is no absolute truth. But really, there could be other reasons and motives as well, because it could cause a huge state of chaos if we really adopt that proposal that there is no absolute truth. But alhamdulillah, as Muslims, we believe that there is an absolute truth, because we know that if there is no truth, no absolute truth, and everything is subject to your own opinion, your own judgment, and everyone's judgment, then we know that if there is no truth, then nothing is wrong. If there is no truth, then nothing is wrong. So for example, this is a map of the countries, or a heat map of where incest, which is, you know, illegitimate relationships, can happen between siblings, right? So some countries have it as a legal status if there is consent. Some it's legal for same-sex siblings, and so on and so forth. And of course, a premise for that would be that there is no right nor wrong, right? If two people agree on something, then who are you to tell them that, you know, they can or cannot do something? That's one of the consequences of having no absolute truth. This is an image from an actual case where a woman had two husbands, and she says that we're living happily together and we have a great understanding, and, you know, our life is complete. So, but really, in reality, what can stop her or them from doing that if she believes that there is no absolute truth? So again, for us as Muslims, we believe that there is an absolute truth, and we are guided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his guidance on how to perceive and see that truth, and we ask him for that. If there is no truth, then there is no problem for people to say we want to live as dogs, for example. There is no right nor wrong. That's how we want to live our lives, and there's nothing wrong with that. And for example, as well, people can say abortion should be legal, and they fight, right? They want justice. They fight for the rights of legalizing abortion. So if you're not careful, if you do not find the truth, you might be fighting for things that you're not sure about, because you don't know if they are truthful or not. And we will know later, when we come to the other names, how our justice system in Islam solves these problems for us. So that's why, whether it means the truth or it means the right, and Allah's name al-haq is foundational and fundamental to our understanding of the concept of justice, so that we can understand what are others' rights upon us? What are my rights? What do I defend? Why do I not? What do I not defend? And to speak the truth and to live by the truth, because there is a criteria, like there are criteria for the truth that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has guided us towards. So the second meaning of Ism Allah al-Haq, or the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the right, or the provider of rights, and the one who establishes rights, is to establish the rights of everyone upon you. So one of the amazing things about Islam, the Islamic system, is that it allows you to know your rights and responsibilities in every single scenario in your life. So if you are a son or a daughter of, like, your parents are, of course, every one of us is a son and a daughter, but I mean, like, if you your parents are alive, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give all of our parents healthy and long lives, and have mercy upon those who departed. So then you know that there are rights for the parents. And of course, you as well have rights upon your parents. So others' rights become your responsibilities. So in any relationship, you know your rights and you know your responsibilities, and you strive to fulfill those responsibilities, and you strive to get your rights as well and to receive your rights. If you are a parent, your kids have certain rights upon you, and Islam details those as well. If you're fostering a child, same goes, and the orphans and foster children have additional rights as well. If you're taking care of their money or things like that, there is a whole system built for the rights of the orphan, or the if you're a guardian of a child. If you do business with someone, then there are rights for that, you know, type of business as well, how to manage money, how to manage the relationship, and everything. So rights and responsibilities are detailed. And of course, in marriage as well, there are rights and responsibilities for each member, like for both spouses. So that means that in any relationship, you need to realize what are your rights and what are the other person's rights, which become your responsibilities, in order to be just to them and to be fair and to be, you know, if we are speaking about justice, we need to establish justice in our own lives first before we fight for justice concepts, you know, worldwide or in our community. Again, if you hire help, or if you hire somebody to do some work for you, they have rights, one of which, for example, is to give them their pay right away after they finish, even before their sweat dries, which means that, you know, right away you have to pay them. You can't postpone that. You can't just delay it. You can't procrastinate paying them. So again, every type of relationship has rights and responsibilities defined in our justice system in Islam. The needy, the poor, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about the righteous people that في أموالهم حق معلوم للسائل والمحروم. So حق, there is a right upon you when you have your money and you're deciding how to spend it. There is a right upon you and responsibility towards the poor and needy that you need to fulfill as well, an obligation. So it's an obligation, it's their right upon you. It's not something that you do out of, you know, arrogance, or no, it's their own right. And also even animals in Islam, they have rights. Even the environment, it has rights. You shouldn't uproot trees, or even in state of wars, how to treat the environment, how not to waste, in regular life, how not to waste water and resources and all that kind of stuff, and how not to pollute or harm the environment. So every single thing in our lives as Muslims is guided by rights and responsibilities. So Ism Allah al-Haq is foundational, and if you are unable or unwilling to perceive that right and witness it and observe it and you know, live by it, then we have a problem, and you will never be able to perceive justice, and you cannot even go further to the other to discuss the other names or other concepts of equity and equality or whatever they are, because your foundation is broken. And of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have, you know, it's our duty to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to fulfill his commands as part of that right upon us, you know, to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So really, before we go ahead and fight for any cause that's outside of us, we need to take care of our own backyard first. So if you are a son, first of all, of course, you're a servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you are Muslim and identify yourself as a Muslim, so we need to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the basic right of the Creator upon us. And if you're a son or daughter, you need to understand the rights of the parents, and of course understand your rights as well as a child, as a son or daughter. If you're a spouse, if you are a parent, if you are a team leader, if you so any role, if you are a citizen. And by a citizen here, I mean a broad meaning of citizenship. It starts with your even friends, your neighbors, your small community, your country, your global community. So you're a citizen of all these entities, and for each one of these entities, there are rights upon you, and that become responsibilities that you need to fulfill. And of course, as well, there are rights for you. So so that's being a citizen. And of course, for your friends as well, there are rights upon you as well, and that become your responsibilities to not spill their secrets, and to protect their reputation, and to help them out and support them, and to guide them and advise them if they do something wrong. So really, every breath we take and every move we make should be guided by that system of rights and responsibilities. So that's why the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, al-haq, the truth, the right, or the entity who establishes rights and responsibilities, is foundational. That name is foundational for us to understand what the truth is, what we should fight for, what we should adhere to, what can really keep our relationships healthy and well. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that you won't be able to proceed to equity or equality or that system of justice unless you perceive and understand the truth first, al-haq first. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, وَمِمَّنْ خَلَقْنَا أُمَّةٌ يَهْدُونَ بِالْحَقِّ وَبِهِ يَعْدِلُونَ. So, and among those we created is a group that guides with the truth and establishes equality accordingly. So you cannot possibly perceive the second component of the justice system, which is the equality, unless you know first the truth. And by equality, and why am I saying it's equality and not the utterly just? Because it's a lexical ambiguity in a sense. In Arabic, you know, in any language, you have the nouns and the adverbs, so or the adjectives, right? So there is the actual noun, the justice, for example, right? And then when you want to describe a person, you say he is just. So Allah's most beautiful names are all in the adjective format, except for 4 names. 2 of them are in front of you on the screen, which is al-haq and al-adl. So al-adl really means it's a noun, and it's not to describe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, meaning that he is the source of this system. He is the source of al-haq, of the truth. He is the source of al-adl, which is, again, linguistically, and I got that meaning from verses from the Quran, but if you don't understand Arabic, it's going to be very, very difficult to explain it, but it means to be equal. And we can send you some resources on that. So my translation of al-adl is equality, and again, it's a noun. It's not to describe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because he is the source of that quality. So you need to perceive truth first before we can go to that second component, which is al-adl, or equality. Equality means, and I love this photo because it really explains it. So equality means to be blindfolded when it comes to dealing with people in terms of your emotions. So you don't favor someone because you love him or her, and you do not exclude someone because you hate them. So you do not deny anyone their rights, right? So the first one is the right and the truth. You do not cover the truth. You do not deny anyone's rights. You deal with everyone on equal basis. That doesn't mean that you will give everyone equally, because that will come later. Or if you're handing things out, you have to hand those in with equality for everyone. And I'll come to that later. But here, it means that your emotions are neutral when you're dealing with people. And we have 3 examples from the Quran that I will share with you that describe how you can achieve equality when dealing with others, or with what, or by what should you be guided. So the first criterion here would be is to control your negative emotions towards others. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا يُجْرِمَنَّكُمْ شَنَآنُ قَوْمٍ عَلَىٰ أَلَّا تَعْدِلُوا اعْدِلُوا هُوَ أَقْرَبُ لِلتَّقْوَى. Do not let the hatred of a people lead you to inequality. Be just, that is closer to righteousness. So the message is clear. It's regarding your emotions and how you see people. They are not equals. If they are not equal in front of your eyes because you hate someone and you can't do them justice and you can't treat them equally as you do others, then that's not just. This is a problem. The second criterion is regarding positive emotions. You need to treat people with equality. You see them all the same when it comes to emotions again, but this time be careful of positive emotions. So here, وَإِذَا قُلْتُمْ فَعْدِلُوا وَلَوْ كَانَ ذَا قُرْبَى. Wherever you testify, observe equality, even regarding a close relative. So if someone is favored to you, you love them, they are close to you, they are your relative, then if you testify, if you're in a position to give an input, to give an opinion, you need to look at them as if they are anybody else. You do not say things that are not true. So again, you're observing the truth. Just because you love them and you want them to win something or to gain any gain. And the third is a general one. And it again has to do with our emotions. So فَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا الْهَوَى أَن تَعْدِلُوا. Meaning, so do not let your desires cause you to deviate from equality. So do not allow your inclinations, your bias, your desires, what you want to make you deviate from being, treating people equally. So that's what I mean by equality. Equality doesn't mean in some cases you will give everyone the same. In some cases, and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam advises us if you have 2 kids and you kiss one kid, then you have to kiss the other. So this is equality in terms of I have to show love the same way. So treating them equally in that sense. However, if there is any, like if my son is somebody asked me to testify whether or not my son or my daughter are eligible or are qualified for that job. And of course, I love them. So I know in this case, I have to just give a very just opinion about, okay, if they are qualified or not. I have to look at them as if I look at any other person and put aside my emotions. So again, going back to the whole justice system, you cannot perceive equality unless you know first what's true and what's not, and you know the rights of every person. The third, so those were the 2 elements of that justice system. So the third is the equitable, and I know that my dear sister Shahinaz had a great session yesterday about that topic, and she did a great job explaining the difference between equality and equity. And of course, she did a great job, but I'm just gonna quickly go over that in case you're getting to hear about the topic for the first time. So it means that not to look at everybody the same, not in terms of emotion, but in terms of their needs. So we might look even the same from the outside, but our needs, our colors, our what we need is different. So everybody's different in terms of what they need. So of course she shared as well, Sister Shahinaz. Thank you for sharing the photo that's most people know, with the boys and the boxes and watching the stadium. They can't see and they give everybody a box. So it's the same here, actually. It's again to do with boxes. So if you want to provide the society with privileges, for example, or resources, then you need to understand that not everyone can reach or have access to the same resources as others the same way. Some will need extra help. And this morning, I love that being me and Sister Shahnaz as well, hosted Sister Rabia, who speaks and advocates passionately for the needs of the people with special needs. So not only that, but all of us are different in our needs. So in some cases, we will receive equal resources and privileges, and in others, no, we need extra attention because, for example, the government cannot say, oh, everyone is gonna get, the government gives to the people who are parents with children under certain ages, they give them extra support for the child benefits, for example, in Canada, the child tax benefits. So I can't fathom or imagine someone would come and say, oh, but this is not fair. We have to be equal. They have to give me as well, that extra support. No, you don't need it as much as the family needs because they have a child, so their needs are different. So it's a very intuitive concept that we need to understand when we are trying to be fair, when we're talking about justice. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala treats us with both. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala understands our needs, and also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides us and commands us to do both. Justice in terms of treating everyone equally, but also considering the person's all of the person, the whole of the person, all the needs, all the talents, everything else. And I like to refer to that with the difference of two scales. The scale of equality is the scale that has two sides that they have to be equal for it to work, right? And the scale of equity, or when you want to be equitable towards someone, it's a different type of scale that weighs the entire person, and it assesses the entire person, and it assesses the needs of the person so that we can pass the right judgment when it comes to having an opinion on or something, because we are so good at saying, oh, he deserves that, she deserves that. But if we really build our opinions on the truth and on assessing the whole scenario and the whole situation, then that's going to be closer to having an accurate perception of the world around us, and it brings us closer to being just. So I hope these two photos will drive that concept home. So we talked about the first element, which is al-haq. You need to perceive the truth and the rights of every person in the interaction in order to be able to practice both al-adl and al-qist, which is equality and equity. You need to define that, you're standing the same distance from everyone in terms of emotions, which is equality, and then to understand their needs so that you can't just, give everyone the same thing or allow them the same resources if they are not the same in their abilities and needs. And only then you will be able to benefit from Allah's name Al-Hakam, which means the judge. So only then you are allowed to judge or pass a judgment or have an opinion about something. So really to be able to judge, you need all these extra steps before you form an opinion or pass a judgment. So when you have looked for the truth, identified the rights of everyone in the situation, assessed their needs, treated them equally in terms of your emotions, then you are eligible to pass a judgment or to form an opinion on anything. But please, if you don't, I always tell people, I beg you, if you don't want to look for the truth, if you don't want to do your due diligence and work hard on yourself to be able to treat everyone the same in terms terms of your own emotions, if you don't want to look for, understand the rights and responsibilities of the people in the situation, then please just, spare us and don't judge, right? Because don't form an opinion. Don't go on social media starting to say, oh, I think this is right, I think this is wrong. No, you have to do your work first, your due diligence, before you go ahead and pass a judgment on any person. And we need to understand that it's a system. You cannot just say, oh, I have a good judgment. No, what proof do you have that you have a good judgment? So we need to work hard to be able to be qualified to judge. So again, the steps, the system, the elements, and then the last two elements that are on it. I wanna respect the time given to me, but the last two elements that complete this image are al-Hakim and al-Rashid. So the wise and the guided, or the one who resorts to guidance. The one who is Rashid, min al-rushd wal-irshad wal-ihtida, so to be guided, to be a source of guidance, so and sound guidance, right? So al-Hakim and al-Rashid are two names that we will speak about. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in addition to being al-Hakim and al-Rashid, he's also al-Alim and al-Basir and al-Khabir. He is the expert in everything. He is the all-knowing. He is the all-seeing and the all-hearing. So there are so many other names that we can bring into this beautiful mix. However, we just need to understand that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands us to do something or forbids us from doing something, then it's because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a bird's eye view, if I may say so, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the whole map of everything, and it's a full system. So we need to trust that system. So trusting the system means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we need to understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put in place a perfect system that is a social system, a legal system, a financial system, an ethical system, any type of system that you can think of. Everything Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mapped out for us, and they are interdependent. So they are not working in isolation. So for you to say, I am advocating for the rights of any group of people or for any cause, you need to understand, first of all, of course, the truth about it and the rights of the people involved, all the people involved. But you need to understand as well that we work within a system that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created. Meaning that if you advocate, and please pay attention to this, if you advocate for the wrong cause, it's wrong, it's not right, it's not truthful, then the whole system might collapse. And let me give you an example. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for example, in marriage, and men and women are not equal, right? Because men and women are different in their needs, in their body, in their perspective, in their emotions, and everything, right? So, and around that concept of marriage, there is financial obligation. For example, the man has to carry that financial obligation, and the man kind of is so that the financial obligation is a big thing, of course. And then the man, of course, is a kind of a leader of the family. He takes care of the family. He protects the family. He tries to decide for, of course. He works with the wife as well on the big decisions, but ultimately he's responsible for the whole family system with the wife, but he's giving the qawama, right? So we understand that from the Islamic system. And also there is a system for the guardianship over the children. So even if divorce happens, there are rules and laws for that. So if, for example, someone comes and advocates for equality between men and women in everything and challenges the Islamic system, we're talking, of course, about people who believe in the Islamic system. You can't force others who do not hold your belief system to follow your belief system. So we're talking about Muslims now, because there are in the last few years, we heard voices from the within the Muslim under the Muslim umbrella, asking for equal inheritance, for example, within the Islamic system for men and women, or equal, everything is equal between men and women in the family system, for example. So that is actually breaking the whole system. Just we need to understand that will break the whole system. For example, okay, so both of them will be financially obligated the same way, and both of them are making the decisions, and they will go head to head. If there is an important decision, there isn't a way to reconcile, really, unless someone, compromises and, gives in. And if there is divorce, or, all the rights and responsibilities are going to be different. So even who utters divorce, and who initiates divorce, and who, is the guardian of the children, and who's paid what's for the children, and all that kind of stuff, the whole system collapses. So we need to understand that if you are identifying yourself as a Muslim, and you believe in the Islamic faith, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is al-haq, al-adl, al-muqsit, al-hakam, al-hakim, al-rashid, then you need to trust that system. And again, I repeat, you cannot force this system upon anyone else who's not a believer in the system. Just the same way as, for example, if I am originally from Egypt and I live in Canada, I can't come to a Canadian and say, oh, you should do this because the Egyptian law says so and so. Like, he doesn't care, right? He doesn't believe, like he's not abiding by the Egyptian law. But like, again, I'm saying that if you are advocating for certain rights, you just need to understand that whole system that's built around these concepts, and it's never an individual case or an individual cause. So guided wisdom, then, Al-Hakim, Al-Rashid, what we can learn from these two names is that wisdom comes from knowledge and guidance. It doesn't come from being old, or from being high in status or rich or whatever. It's about the knowledge and guidance, and the resources that you go to get your information, and the analysis that you do with this information. So it's about you really trying to seek that truth. And it's also about conscience. So my conscience will allow me to respect people's rights when I realize that they are right, to admit when I'm wrong, to apologize, to treat people equally. So all these are factors that conscience plays a big role in. Accountability is another, and that is tied to that system that we were just talking about. So when I advocate for something, I have to be able to see all the way through to all the results that can happen from me winning my cause. So I might be happy to win the cause, but then so many other things collapse. The whole family concept collapses, and then who wins? Who's the winner? So accountability is key, to understand that I am accountable for any results that happen. I can handle the results that happen. I'm not going to harm myself or the society or the entire system in terms of the causes that I advocate for. Compassion is a big word, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, above all, he is Ar-Rahim. He's a compassionate, the most compassionate. So when we form opinions, when we judge others just because we want to understand a situation, so we have to judge, like, judgment is not a bad thing. We always say it as a bad thing, but if we take away judgment from our life, we can't really know right from wrong. We can't judge anything, but you need to judge at the right time, for the right cause, and it has to be done with compassion. Meaning that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to be guided. Rasul came with what's right and what's wrong according to the Islamic faith, but also with compassion. He wanted everyone to win. He wanted everyone to be fine and not suffering. So compassion is a big thing. And I say that because we don't judge people to insult them. We don't feel arrogant and superior to them. No, it's all done. This system is really surrounded by compassion, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, and that surrounds everything in the life that we see. So now we can see that these are the 6 names I wanted to share with you today, and they constitute this justice system that can allow you to be just, accurate, and truthful in your efforts to live life with truth, and to be just, and to be fair to those around you, and to live a great life, a life built on peace, inner peace within yourself, and peace with others. And that's the whole name around Salam, the project that I'm running. So inner peace cannot be achieved if you're not adhering to the truth, if you're not fulfilling others' rights upon you, which are your responsibilities. And if you're not receiving your rights as well, emotions will run high: anger, fear, guilt, and so many emotions will control your life, and you will not have that inner peace. And if you deny others the rights as well, they'll be angry, they'll be afraid, they'll be at loss and sadness. Again, all sorts of wrong things can happen. So if we want peace, if we want to live really life with external and internal peace, then we have to be guided with the truth and the rights of all the main three relationships in our lives: relationship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to self, and to others. And that's how I live true to myself and to my identity, and as well as benefiting the community and the society, the small one and the global one around me. And that's how we embrace justice, and we live the life that we dream of, a life with no injustice, with no hurting and pain, with no negative or transgression happening around us. And maybe that's going to be a glimpse of the paradise that we all hope, inshallah, to enter into, inshallah. Thank you so much for inviting me. This is my contact information, how you can contact me if you have any questions, and I will turn it back to my dear sister Shahinaz.
Thank you so much, Jazakallah khairan, really. And now I understand how we started with the 3 names of Allah and we ended up with the 6. You just give us a glimpse of how the system works from a justice system, because we started thinking of, we're gonna speak about the name of Allah, Al-Adl, the just, right? But we didn't think of it as a whole or as a group of names. So